You're listening to The Cultured Bumpkin, a literature podcast with Jake Phillips, where we present audiobook quality readings of the classics for your enjoyment. Thank you for stopping by. And remember, just because you're a bumpkin doesn't mean you can't be cultured. Hello and welcome to The Cultured Bumpkin. If you're like me, you might like coffee. You might like bookstores and reading books. And one of the things that I love is when there's a nice bookstore near a nice coffee shop. And sometimes they can be, together, and that's great too. But what I like to do in my town of Columbus, Mississippi, near where I live, I like to go to Friendly City Books on 5th Street and then cross the street with my newly acquired book and get a autumnal latte at 5th Coffee on 5th Street. 5th Street Coffee. It's great. Well, I did that this week, and I picked up a beautiful little trade paperback of Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass. And I had a great time reading it. I've never read the whole thing. I've read bits and pieces, but not the whole thing. So I thought, I need to read that. And so I got it, and so I'm going to read out of this book. A lot of times I'm reading off my tablet or the computer screen, but when I can, I like to read out of actual physical books, and so I'm reading from my physical copy of Leaves of Grass by Walt Whitman from vintagebooks.com, Vintage Classics, if you want to look it up. Okay, and this one's called Night on the Prairie. It's from his 1892 edition of Leaves of Grass. Night on the prairies, the supper is over, the fire on the ground burns low, the wearied immigrants sleep, wrapped in their blankets. I walk by myself. I stand and look at the stars, which I think now I never realized before. Now I absorb immortality and peace. I admire death and test propositions. How plenteous, how spiritual, how resume. The same old man and soul, the same old aspirations, and the same content. I was thinking the day most splendid till I saw what the not day exhibited. I was thinking this globe enough till there sprang out so noiseless around me myriads of other globes. Now, while the great thoughts of space and eternity fill me, I will measure myself by them. And now touched with the lives of other globes, arrived as far along as those of the earth, or waiting to arrive, or passed on farther than those of the earth, I henceforth no more ignore them than I ignore my own life, or the lives of the earth arrived as far as mine, or waiting to arrive. Oh, I see now that life cannot exhibit all to me, as the day cannot. I see that I am to wait for what will be exhibited by death. Night on the Prairies by Walt Whitman from his 1892 edition of Leaves of Grass. I should appreciate you listening and appreciate you telling your friends about the podcast and leaving reviews and the emails that I get. I really appreciate it. Each and every one of you around the world, thank you very much. I really appreciate it, and hope to talk to you next time. And remember, just because you're a bumpkin doesn't mean you can't be cultured. You've been listening to The Cultured Bumpkin, a literature podcast with Jake Phillips. Thank you very much for listening. I really do appreciate it. If you enjoyed this, would you mind going and subscribing and leaving a nice review on whatever podcast platform you heard this on? I would really appreciate it. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you next time.